You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
It is finally, and I mean finally, a Maple Leafs game day presented by Betano. It's time for the Thursday edition of Leafs Morning Take. Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill. How are we doing on this Thursday, Rosie?
We're good, man. It is game day. I had to go back to look and say, what was the last game they played? And that feels like a while ago.
Just put it this way. We're at a point in social media, the Leafs haven't played in so long, since Saturday, where people are openly and actively discussing a comparable of Zach Hyman and Austin Matthews. That's what I had to wake up to today. I don't know about you out there, but that's how I refresh my X, my Twitter every morning when I wake up, and that's how I start my day. And the algorithm, it doesn't like me or something, but Zach Hyman, who plays routinely with Connor McDavid, I guess his value is worth the squeeze over an Austin Matthews. That's where we're at.
I was going to say, you get Austin to set you up for three, and all of a sudden, you get Connor to set you up for three, all of a sudden you're Austin Matthews. Hey, well, maybe the Oilers will pay him $14 million or something. That would be a real smart move, and they'd be in the same position they've been for the last decade.
No, the conversation here, Rosie, is that people think Zach Hyman's better than Austin Matthews. Like they're dunking on the Matthews contract because I guess some people in Leafs Nation, again, everybody's got some cold takes. I'd be the first to admit that. The cold takes were that Hyman contract was terrible that the Oilers signed him to, and he's been very, very valuable to that team.
Yeah, I don't know. As soon as you start comparing Matthews and Hyman is where I stop.
You lost me. Yeah, it's pretty much it. I am very lost on that front too. Hey, we got a new segment and we got a new sponsor on the show.
I heard that. It's kind of a cool one, a little different feel.
Battlegrounds Axing and or Axe Throwing, excuse me. I already screw up the sponsor name. Battlegrounds Axe Throwing. There we go. Battlegrounds Axe Throwing, new sponsor. So bear with me. But I think this is a really good holiday idea with the family. Like head on out. Kids 12 and up can throw with a guardian. So, I mean, it's fun for all family. I mean, you can have a beverage with that too. And got some great specials on right now too.
Yeah, it's cool. It's one of those things like, what are we going to do for fun? What are we going to go on a date and do? What are you going to take the missus out for? What are we going to take the kids out? Like, what are you supposed to do? Go to Chuck E. Cheese? But these cool new things like this makes it fun. I haven't done the axe throwing, but I know a lot of people that have. And like you say, you sit back, you have some laughs, you got some TVs going, you're chucking axes, keeping score, see who's good, who's not, throw a couple bucks on it. Ends up being a blast of a night. I've never heard anyone go to any of those that didn't have a blast, so maybe check it out.
You can book your holiday party now, snag exclusive Boxing Day and break week rates. To find a location and book your event, go to battlegrounds.com. Battlegrounds.com is where you can find it. Again, Battle Axe Throwing. Welcome to the party. Leafs Morning Take. We're taking off just like that. Ryan O'Reilly, we sat down with him yesterday ahead of his revenge game, returning to Scotiabank Arena on Saturday. That's coming up, Rosie, in about 20 from now.
Yeah, we had a good sit down with Riles. He's looking cozy down in Nashville.
He is handsome as fuck, man. Handsome as fuck.
It's a good-looking family. Family, top to bottom. But his kids were in the background making some noise too. I think he was doing some parenting, maybe some babysitting. I don't know. It sounded like there's about 7 of them in the background, but a good interview nonetheless. And we kind of picked his brain about his time with the Maple Leafs.
Tell you something though, folks, listening and watching. Like we're trying to get after things here on the podcast. So the least you can do is help us out, right? Like at the Leafs Nation 401, if you haven't subscribed, if you are subscribed, hammer that like button, leave us a comment. Subscribe wherever you find your podcast as well, just by searching Leafs Morning Take. Maybe leave us a review, a 5-star. That would really help us, right? Like we're going above and beyond. Like we're setting up revenge game narratives now. We've had Luke Shen on like 17 times too. He's coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. Well, if people know how it works, I mean, when you like stuff, when you watch it, when you subscribe to it, the algorithm keeps pumping it out to like-minded people, to yourselves. If you want to see more of us, if you want to see us doing live shows in Toronto, if you want to see us flying around to the All-Star game, doing all these different things, that's where all that comes from, is getting clicks and getting subscribes and getting likes. So share it with your friends. If you think someone would like the show, send it to them. Send them a clip. Tell them to subscribe. Away we go.
Got another ask as well, to be honest. I'm asking for a lot this holiday season. I don't think I am, but if you're looking for a gift idea or like a stocking stuffer too, right? Like you're in luck. I mean, Nation Gear, where else would you go? Order by December 10th. So you got a couple days to receive your Nation Gear before the holidays. Visit nationgear.ca to check out our latest collections. I think it's a really good gift idea too.
It is. They got good gear. Go to the site, pull the trigger. You'll get it before Christmas. Enjoy.
Love it. Brought to you by DoorDash. It's time for the appetizer. For a limited time, our listeners can get 25% off, up to $10 in value, and 0 delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more. When you download the DoorDash app, enter code NATION25. That's NATION25 uppercase. 25% off your first order with DoorDash. Offer valid in Canada, subject to change. Terms apply. So we expected this news, Rosie, but the Leafs made it official yesterday. John Klingberg. This is the last you've seen of John Klingberg wear a Maple Leafs uniform. It lasted, like 14 games? He's going to undergo season-ending hip surgery at the end of December. It will require a 5 to 6 month recovery. And I think the curious conversation here, and we did have this a couple weeks back, everybody who's been exiled to Robidas Island has yet to play a game, Matt Murray included. So I wonder what this means for the future of John Klingberg.
Oh, well, I don't know, but it doesn't involve the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'll tell you that his season's done. He's on a 1-year contract, and he will not be re-signed to come back. And as personally for John, of course, that's sad. You never want to see it. All the rest of the things, but as a Maple Leaf, from a Maple Leaf standpoint, it feels like you get a redo on this signing. It feels like you get a redo on this contract, and when you go and look at the long-term IR money and players that's sitting there right now, the only one that really stings is Muzzin right now. Like, how nice would it be to have him? We lost him early in the season last year. Neck, head type of injuries. He's not messing around with it. It was over the top for him to keep playing in the NHL, and we lost him, and that stung, and it still stings to this day. But as far as Murray and Klinger being on there, it's almost like we get kind of a redo on those signings, which I don't think Klinger was working out. There's too many holes in his game defensively to say that he was the guy that we wanted to get in free agency. And, offensive-minded, great. Again, that's not really our problem. It would be nice to have a stud D-man who can clean up the defensive zone and clean up our area, get the puck out of there, keep it out of our net. And we need a guy like that. So to free up that 4+ is kind of nice. And the only thing it's going to cost us is the amount of games it takes to go find a guy and make a deal. So we'll see what happens. But when you're against the cap, it never hurts to take someone off the books that's kind of crunching up some of your cap.
Handshake line respect writes in, no chance for playoffs for him. Imagine that storyline if John Klingberg somehow is ready to go because there's no cap in the playoffs. He comes back and he wins the Conn Smythe trophy.
The Conn Smythe. Shit, it'd be awesome, man. Like, if he's ready to go, have him practiced up and ready. And if shit hits the fan, you chuck him in there. He's not a bad guy to have in your back pocket for free, but not really a storyline we're putting our money on.
I get the feel like this is almost like a Matt Murray on crutches opening night, where this is like the last you see or hear from this guy. You're never hearing from John Klingberg in Toronto again. I'm sorry. Like, it doesn't have that feel where like 5-6 months from now, he comes back from this hip surgery in round 2 of the playoffs. It doesn't have that feel.
No, it doesn't. It's I like I said, I don't think his future involves the Toronto Maple Leafs. I hope his future involves playing in the NHL. I hope he gets, he's in this organization, so he's going to get the best treatment in the world.
True.
He'll be getting the recovery all taken care of. He's going to have, he couldn't be in a better place as far as doing what's necessary for his body in order to get healthy again to play in the NHL. So that's a good thing for him. And I just hope it goes well and he continues on his NHL career and has a resurgence. But I just don't believe it'll be with the Toronto Maple Leafs anymore.
So 4.15 cap hit. It'll stay on LTIR for the remainder of the season, freeing up money for the Leafs to go de-hunting. There's this overwhelming narrative in this market that there is a rush that Toronto has on to trying to find a defenseman or two. But what's the rush? I mean, I understand this team hasn't been great, but I think the track record has shown in recent memory they can be fine with losing defensemen. I don't think there needs to be a rush. And I think reading in between the lines of what Brad Treliving said in his various stops yesterday, I just don't think it's going to be a quick fix. Like, I don't think anything's going to happen anytime soon. It's more so about buyers and sellers. Like, outside of Chicago, San Jose, who's really thrown in the towel for the season, right? Like, I mean, there's not many teams out there looking to make a trade right now. Calgary can have that conversation, but again, I don't think they're hard pressed to make a deal right now either.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not like there's your hair's on fire, big
Would
rush.
you be in a rush
but
to do something right now, though?
if you had the option of getting a stud D-man now or at the deadline, I would say now.
Yeah,
Easily.
but my thinking is you're probably paying a premium now than you would closer to the deadline. Obviously, I mean, it's hard to predict something like that, but I think if you're getting more games for a rental, assuming it's a rental they're going after, you're going to pay more now than you would 2 months from now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that. Also, when the rush comes, I mean, why would, if a team's going to unload a D-man, why would they wait until the deadline? Because there's going to be more activity, more guys
Sure.
putting their hands up, more bidders, so the price could go up on a guy. But yeah, like you say, I mean, I think Tree Living would like to pull a trigger today. If it came across his table, he said, "I want this. Let's get this going. Let's get him into the system. Let's get him gelling with the teammates. Let's get these guys together as soon as possible." And I mean, these points are still important and they do mean something. So we do want to make our team as good as possible right now. But it's just a matter of, our teams with that specific thing, a stud D-man who can really help your team out defensively. Those are high value products, and no one's going to give it away for nothing. And like you say, it's got to be a team who decides, what are we doing? And usually when you make that decision about what your future is, are you selling? Are you looking for prospects? Are you making a run? Do you need a rental? Are you unloading someone for a rental? That all happens at the deadline. So, I mean, as much as I think it would be nice to have a guy like right now, chances are that deal might not get done until the deadline, unfortunately. But stranger things have happened. Depending on what the deal looks like, it could be a situation where the team that's giving us a D-man and receiving something in return, they want that now as well. It's kind of the only way a deal is going to get done now. But yeah, there's a reason you don't see a million trades at this point in the year compared to the deadline.
I heard some rumblings yesterday. You want to hear them?
Sure.
Supposedly, David Kampf's name's out there. I don't know if it's going to
Oh.
happen, but I think they're open to dealing David Kampf, which makes a lot of sense. But it also goes back to, like, why in the hell did you give him that contract? The same conversation for Sam Lafferty. It's like, if you're trying to rectify mistakes you made 3 months ago now, like, it's scary. But I think it's quite clear the Leafs are trying to create any cap space they can ahead of the deadline here.
And so how much of a bump did Kampf get from last year to this year?
I'm looking right now. Bear with me. Anybody in the chat, you want to chime in? I forget what the contract was. I'm looking it up right now.
But it seems like, is it just, I think we talked about this
2.4 a
yesterday.
year.
What's that?
2.4 a year. He's got 2 more after this one.
Yeah. And I mean, last year I was high on David Kampf just because he's one of those guys that doesn't cost you a ton. He's reliable. He's that kind of unsung hero. Take the big face-offs, be defensively sound. You never notice him as screwing up out there, making the big blunder. He was just solid and reliable, which is very valuable, especially on this team. And now it's like, it is that two sides of the coin. Is it you expect more from him because he's got that contract, or is he not, or is he playing worse than last year? And we could crunch his numbers and look, but really the eye test is for me. And I don't know, I think he's probably taken a little bit of heat because of the contract and people's expectations are higher, which I never really feel is totally fair. Like, he is what he is. You liked him, you want to keep him. So here's a contract. This is what you need to get to keep him, or someone else is going to sign him. So it's kind of the two sides of the coin. But if someone's wanting a guy like him and needs a guy like him and is wanting to take his contract on and give you something valuable in return, rock on. I mean, you got to put pieces into the basket to get anything back, and nothing's free.
Dave writes in, Kampf is an important player. He just makes a bit too much right now, and it's my mistake. He has 3 years left. He signed a 4-year deal, $9.6 million. And the first 3 years of the deal, by the way, he has a modified no trade clause. Like, that's where we're at, 2023. And David Kampf has a modified 10-team no trade list. Like, that's insane to me. And I guess the big conversation here is, like, how can you pay your fourth line center $2.4 million? I don't think cap certainty is the worst thing in the world. Do I think David Kampf has been good to start this year? No, I don't. But he's the type of guy who I want in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I'm right there with you. He's reliable. And I think along those lines, the cap is going up. So while people are bitching and complaining $2.4 million for a fourth line center, in a couple of years from now, that won't look that bad at all. And I think he has the ability to elevate. I think he's a big game player. I know it's tough to say with this team, but I've liked what I've seen from David Kampf in pressure cooker situations.
Yeah, I agree. Like I was high on him last year. Now he's taken a lot of knocks, and I haven't been, watching the games live and verbally knocking him down, going, "What is he doing out there?" I think some of that's expectations, and
Sure.
2 point something a year when you're looking at 86. I mean,
Exactly.
there's only 4 centers. It's not that high. Um, like you say, he's stood up in the playoffs. He's reliable. You use him to make that big face off. He's just not making big mistakes out there. Like one of Klingberg's, knocks was like, Jesus, yeah, he's got this upside and stuff, but my God, like, are the positives outweighing the negatives? Like he makes these big mistakes and he looks lost out there and he's spinning around in the D zone. It's like shit. That's just too detrimental to the team, especially in the playoffs, to have that out there. It's just like Swiss cheese. Like something's going to get through that hole eventually, where Kampf doesn't really seem to have that. I mean, he's not going to score you 40. He's not going to be the guy that plays 25 minutes, understandably. But like you say, he is what he is. He's what we want. Hence why he got that contract. He's proven that he can be reliable and solid when you need him. And he has risen up to the occasion when you need him and the going gets tough. He can step up and be that guy as well. So I mean, I don't really agree with the heat he's taken.
Do you think there'll ever be a season where there isn't that like whipping boy on the blue line? Like last year was Justin Hall, this year was John Klingberg. Like who's it going to be next year?
I don't know. Hopefully not like Brody or
There's a
McCabe
guy
or
every year
anyone
though.
like
There's a guy
that.
every year, right?
Yeah, there seems to be. But I mean, Hall last year, rightfully friggin' so. It was just shocking how that guy, they're scratching guys all around him. It's just like he had this unpenetrable, claws in his.
Invincibility cloak.
It's literally, it's like, what
Yeah.
the hell? Like, who is this guy and why does he get this? He's making the blunders he would make, the
Yeah.
minuses he would take, and the flat out puck in the back of the net that was straight off of his stick, completely on him, was shocking. He was never talking about, he was never scratched, his minutes never went down. He was always out there in key situations where my mind was blown on Hall last year, and I made that vocal. And Klingberg didn't really get a chance to get his feet off the ground this year. Now we don't even have to worry about it. We're in the market to look for something else, and like I said, we get a little bit of a redo on his contract. But
Yeah.
I don't know. As far as whipping boys, until the defense is shored up, and it's one of the strengths of the Toronto Maple Leafs, you're always going to have someone to whip, because when they're defensively unsound, you're going to look around and point your finger at the reasons why.
This dates back to like Larry Murphy, man. This is going a far way. And even before Hall, it was a guy named Marty Marincin, who admittedly I used to rip on my broadcast all the time. And probably the reason why I'm not doing the Leafs pre, post, and intermission anymore. I did not understand. Specifically, Mike Babcock was fucking in love with Martin Marincin, dude. He would roll him out in every scenario, killing penalties, like late in the game. And the guy, like my eye test, and I know analytics is a big part of this era. My eye test it did not check out on Marty Marincin. There's a reason why Marty Marincin never played in the NHL again after his tour in Toronto. We'll say that.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes coaches just get these hard-ons for
Yeah,
a
man.
certain player, and no one else can see it. No one else can figure it out. And they just have this relationship where it's just his go-to guy and like a little teacher's pet, and everyone else is just disgusted by it. That happens sometimes. Why? I don't know. But yeah, like you say, he never played again. So obviously it wasn't anyone else that was feeling that high on him.
We could start a podcast, like a whipping boy podcast, and just have guests who used to be whipping boys for the Leafs. We'll have Frankie Corrado as our first guest. We'll have Cody Ceci. Actually, Frankie wasn't even a whipping boy. Babcock just didn't like him. Cody Ceci was the guy who was whipped in Toronto. I don't know, man. It's a constant conversation for the last like 20 years. There always is a guy on the back end that people just hate. Like they hate to love, or they love to hate.
Well, it's a tough position. You can get exposed. I was a defenseman, and if you're having an off night, man, the spotlight's on you big time. And when you're having an on night, not a whole lot of praise gets sent your way, because you look at the stat sheet and there's not a lot going on it. But when you're doing your job in your zone as a defenseman, it's so high value, and it's pretty thankless as well. As a goaltender, you're the last line of defense. You make a mistake, it's in the back of your net. But when you're playing hot, I mean, you're the first star. Everyone's giving you the game puck. You get all the interviews and shit like that. The goaltender gets the high praise, no doubt about it. Defensemen are definitely the unsung hero, and I think it's one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult position to play. It takes a long time to learn different systems, different adjustments. You're relying on your partner to cover your holes. You got to have that yin and yang with your D partner. It's very difficult when you're playing bad. Spotlight's on you. You can be the whipping boy. When you're playing good, there's not a whole lot of praise coming your way. It's just expected, and you don't really shine out and be noticed all that much. So difficult position, no doubt.
Justin Young adds Nikita Zaitsev's name to the conversation. Warrior Womp talks about Marinchin's career milestone being a breakaway goal against the Vancouver Canucks, and I remember that one vividly. Mr. D, less than 10% of people here hit the like button. Hit it, peeps. I could not agree more. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave us a comment, a review, anything to help out the podcast. Hell, we got Ryan O'Reilly coming up in about 10 minutes. We have Luke Shen on tomorrow's podcast. We got Jason Blake coming up next week. Former Islanders great, former Anaheim Duck. We got your old teammate Jason Blake coming up too.
The Lab Rat. I love it. I don't know if he likes that nickname or not.
I don't think he does. I would not lead with that interview saying, hey, we have the Lab Rat on today. Hey, Jason, how are you?
Okay, maybe not then. But interesting character, Blakey. He was a seasoned veteran when when I played with him, and yeah, he was always worth a holy smoke, shake your head and chuckle at his antics and attitudes and comments and everything else. It's an interesting character. It'll be fun to talk to him now and see how he is.
It's funny. I had to write back and be like, sorry, man, I didn't realize you played with Rosie. Because like I just asked him initially. I didn't tell you. I'm like, hey, I'm getting Jason Blake. And you're like, oh, I played with him. I'm like what era did Rosie play hockey? And I felt like you were a Leaf for like 10 years, but it was like 2.5 minutes.
No, it's like three. It was like 3 years with some up and downs, man. But yeah, some people covered the roster during that time apparently. And no, played with some interesting guys. When we're talking about D-man and stuff like that, Thomas Caberlet, like pretty legendary Leaf, played with him for pretty much the whole time. It'd be fun to have him on.
Weird because I texted Cabby and just ghosted. Didn't want to be on here with you.
Maybe I'll see if I can finagle my way in there. But funniest thing about him, man, is his stick was like the length of a golf club, man. Like it was at his waist. Go watch anything Thomas Caberlet and look at his stick. His hand is at the end of his knob, and his elbow's not bent, and he's way down by his waist, and he just like had a little mini stick around in the NHL. It was insane. Usually defensemen have extraordinarily long sticks to have that poke check, but he just handled the puck up on the point like that with the shortest stick I've ever seen. It was wild. Go check it out and look at a picture of him or a video if you didn't notice that yourself.
Maybe it's an interview we do. Just thinking off the top of my head, maybe it's an interview we do at All-Star Weekend with Caberlet at his restaurant here in Toronto. Have you been to that restaurant?
I have not. I would love
that. He's got
an
Italian restaurant. He's got an Italian restaurant. Maybe that's something we work on where we do like an exclusive interview with Thomas Caberlet, but we go to his restaurant and do it. I'm going to think about that. It's a good idea.
Get a free plate of bolognese and you can go be that paisan, man. You can go speak your native tongue of the motherland.
Yes, because that's how all Italians talk. Yes, exactly. So maybe that's an idea. I would love to interview Thomas Caberlet. We've reached out. And in fact, last year, I think Shenner was telling us that he lived across the street from Cabby, right? He said in the interview.
Yeah, Shenner knows him good. I'll tell Shenner, text Cabby, say, why are you icing my boy?
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on. We're the fastest, hottest Leafs podcast in the world right now. Just pump our jets a bit here. Wendy's is pumping our jets for sure. They're letting you win real food with their fantasy teams this year with the Wendy's Daily Face-Off Survivor Pool. Sign up to play the Daily Face-Off Survivor Pool to win weekly prizes like the new chicken strips and French toast sticks from Wendy's and the Wendy's app. Head on over to dailyfaceoffsurvivor.com to play today. So the second installment of the Battle of Ontario, the Leafs 8 points up on the Sens. The Leafs haven't played since Saturday. And do you remember what happened on November 8th, Rosie?
Yes, but I want you to tell everybody.
So a 6-3 win for Ottawa. Who scored that night? Your boy, Claude Giroux. We're going to hammer that tonight again, setting up and teeing up the Betano wrap-up coming up at about 15 or so. Giroux always scores against the Leafs. But that night, the Sens scored 3 unanswered goals in the third period, man. I for the life of me, I just want to see a regulation victory. I'll take any win. I have no clue which Leafs team is going to show up tonight, man.
Dude, I was looking back at their schedule, and it's like 5 out of the last 6 maybe went to overtime.
Crazy. Like that's the bet, isn't it? That's the bet.
Dude, the bet is hitting the Edmonton Oilers over. That might be done now that Skinner's playing well. but the Oilers over has just made money out
Crushed.
the ass. And then the Leafs overtime, man, like you're picking overtime, you're getting like plus 350, huge odds, and they are just walking it into overtime lately. So I don't know if that trend continues, there's money to be made. Maybe that is our final segment of the day. I guess it's up to you, right? Because the pesky Penguins lost again.
Yeah, I've been on fire. That's 3 for 3 this week. I was all over Tampa last night. I got a couple plays in mind for that game. So, by the way, it looks like Ryan Reeves is going to stay in the lineup. I know the analytics community is not happy about that. Apparently, Bob McMahon's going to be an all-star in this league. That's what I'm hearing, at least. Him and Alex Steves.
Oh boy, I don't really care, man. He's there for a reason. Mix him in. I mean, I don't know, to get upset about who's the fourth line winger.
It's Toronto,
whatever.
though. It's Toronto. Like, people are getting upset about fucking David Kampf. We've been hitting this drum since we started this show. It doesn't matter about these guys. Is Austin Matthews going to be there when it matters? Is Tavares going to be there? Is Nylander going to be there? Is Marner going to be there? Is Riley going to be there? That is the defining sort of crew, the core 4 or 5, whatever the fuck you want to call them. If they don't show up, you ain't beating anybody. I'm sorry.
Well, and I think to me, it's those guys, absolutely. Then it's the depth up front, like Bertuzzi and Domi. If you play your best games, do you know how well-rounded that forward line is? Do you know how nicely you could just roll the lines? Do you know how like impossible it would be to line match against anyone? Because like, who the hell are they throwing out now? Like, I don't even have anyone to compete with this if those guys are all on their game. But I want those guys to step up so that we have that depth in the lineup. And, they're there, they're capable. I think they were good signings. It's difficult to play in Toronto. I get it. I want those guys to pick themselves up, pick their games up a little bit for sure. But it's just the back end to me. Like, those forwards are going to do their thing. That back end, if you can just rely on them to make that one play and not have that one breakdown and have that odd man rush where the forwards screw it up thinking too offensively and they break that down and get it back into the neutral zone. Like, I'm just salivating over how good this team could be. But I just want to shore up those holes, and I want those depth pieces on the front to play and elevate their game to the capabilities that they have and that they were signed for. And then this team is looking kind of unstoppable, but we're not there yet. That's for sure.
Yeah, I guess to clear it up a bit, like, these guys matter in an 82-game slate because it can't be the big boys every night. But what I'm saying is when the season's on the line, like, I'm not going to be talking about David Kampf, with all due respect. I'm not going to be talking about Bobby McMahon, Alex Steves, Nicky Robertson. Like, to me, everything hangs on those guys. You want to pay them money? That's great. You want all that coin? Do something. Do something when it matters. To an extent, they did it against Tampa. Florida was a different story. And that's the conversation, again, we're going to have. Spoiler alert. Next spring, we're going to talk about the big boys. Do they show up? Do they not? But again, that is the rigors of an 82-game slate. You can't have it every night. You need guys like Kampf and others to step up, right?
Yeah, for sure you do. And you want to have that depth and not put the pressure on those big boys to have to score 4 or 5 every single game. That's just not feasible. But absolutely, like, it's what you do in those playoffs. Like, think today, you don't think those points matter in the regular season. Do you want to face Boston first round with them firing on all cylinders and being a complete lesson learned from last year? What happened, what Florida did to them in the first round? They're aware now that that's possible. It doesn't matter how good they are. It doesn't matter how everyone's stroking their ego. They don't take anything for granted, and they just come into the first round snorting snot, ready to rock. My God, that's like, God, we need everyone to keep chipping points away, get us as high in the standings as we can, play someone that hasn't had as good of an 82-game slate as we have. That's what you want. That is important. I'm sorry to say, but we can't sit here for 6 months and talk about how no games matter. And then we're looking at the Boston Bruins like, fuck, what? Like, geez, we could have been facing X, Y, or Z if we just, had ourselves a little more consistency in the regular season.
Oh, now you want to talk about playoff opponents.
Yeah, sure. You don't think it matters. Oh, it doesn't matter. Like, fucking, it matters.
I've seen this fucking team lose to everybody and their mother. I witnessed them lose to the Montreal Canadiens. They fucking puked all over themselves.
No, you haven't, because you've never seen this team play a playoff series.
Dude, they lose to everybody. I couldn't care. They could play the fucking Montreal Canadiens, the vintage Montreal Canadiens. They can beat anybody. They're that talented. I honestly, weirdly enough, I don't care who they play. Give me Tampa. Give me Detroit. Give me Boston. It doesn't matter. They should be able to beat anybody. They're that good. They're that talented.
They should be able to beat. They should be able to do a lot of things. But in reality, when you are playing somebody, who do you want to play? And I want to play the team that won the least amount of games possible in the regular season, so that we have the highest
You're playing with fire.
of winning. Huh?
Like, this team's not in a position to call their shot. What does it matter?
I just said how it matters. It matters is that you're going to play in the first round. What is your percentage chances of winning? We have a better chance of beating Buffalo than we do beating Boston. That's what matters.
So how did Boston react last year when they got Florida in the first round?
And guess how they're going to react this year when they've learned that lesson?
Yeah, so you calling Boston to win the cup now, or what?
I never said that.
No, all I'm saying, like, this is a healthy conversation, but all I'm saying, there's so much parity in this league. I'm at a point where I really don't care who they play. Like, I think you should be able to beat any team, and I think this team is talented enough to beat any team on any given night in a series. That's it.
Yeah, and I agree with that. But, I mean, you should be able to beat everyone in the division, yes. And they've proven they can beat these teams. That's fine. But if you're going into a 7-game series, I would prefer not to play the hottest shit in the universe who just won the President's Trophy, who got their ass handed to them last year, who've learned a major lesson, who's totally matured since last season. And it's like they're ready to rock and they've got their hearts broken. Now they're ready to win the Stanley Cup. I'd rather not run into that from a percentage of likelihood of winning. On the flip side, like you say they do take down a Boston and those guys have their shit all in a twine for the playoffs and you take them down. Yeah, what a wicked boost going into the second round. Sure, but I'm just playing the statistics and the odds here, man. I want to play the team.
Oh, you're stats guy now. You're stats guy now.
Beat, apparently.
You're stats guy now.
Buddy, you're the one saying that it doesn't matter who you play at all. I don't think any team in the league is saying doesn't matter if we play the number 1 team in the world
Tampa
or the
is.
16th fucking team in the thing. It's all the same to us. Like I know there's parity. Anyone can beat anybody, but from a percentage wise, who do you want to play? So I give you the chance. I give you the option to play. You play the wild card team or you play the number 1 team, Boston. You doesn't matter to me. You pick. That's your stance.
Okay, I would take the wild card team, but what's your point?
That it matters who you play because you're better chance of beating that team.
Yeah, but all I'm saying to back that up is that the Leafs have lost to an array of different teams. Like, it hasn't mattered who they play.
Other Leafs team has other players with that jersey on. Yes, I know that you think it's all the same, but this team's never even been in a playoff series
all different
before.
Team. Okay, so it's not the same nucleus guys who continue to lose. By the way, and I know it's wrong to look at the standings on December 7th, but the Leafs are occupying the second wildcard spot right now, which means they would take on the New York Rangers, I believe, right now. Do you like that matchup?
Yeah, it's different. I like it. Why not? I just don't like how they're occupying the second wildcard goddamn team. We're talking about this team like making a push to win the Stanley Cup. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, where like these points don't matter. You keep fucking thinking that in that locker room. You're not going to make the goddamn playoffs. How big of a nightmare would that be? You want to talk about something to bitch about next year? Blow that shit up. It would be a nightmare. And they're sitting there looking at it, and everyone's acting like, nah, they're so goddamn good. Well, frick. You better make these do matter. These points matter. The standings matter. Get it going. Every game, every point matters, man. It comes down to the last little inch. And do you want to be fighting for your life, or do you want to give Giordano some rest coming down the stretch going into the playoffs? Good luck if you're sitting in the 4th wildcard place to have any bit of rest and leisure coming down the last week or 2 of the season.
It just shows you how tough it is. Now, Toronto's got 5 games in hand on Tampa. This schedule is ridiculous, but they got 5 games in hand on Tampa. They're 1 point back, but the Leafs right now are 1 point out of missing the playoffs completely. But again, it's tough to look at the schedule first and foremost and the standings, but certainly a healthy debate, and we'll have that debate moving forward, I'm sure, to the springtime when the Leafs sort of lodge themselves in somewhere. But ideally, I don't see them taking Boston at number 1, but I want to see them at least with home ice advantage in the first round. I think to set up home ice in Game 7, if you have to play that game, I think is integral. But nevertheless, the following interview, Rosie, is brought to you by Sober Carpenter. Hold the alcohol, keep the flavor, enjoy a range of non-alcoholic beers so good that you'll think it's the real thing. Look for Sober Carpenter at Sobeys, Loblaws, Whole Foods, Metro, Farm Boy, and other retailers today. First and foremost, what was your impression of interviewing Ryan O'Reilly yesterday?
Oh, his reputation precedes him, man. Just a solid, down-to-earth guy. I really doubt anyone who's ever played with this guy did not really like him. He's top to bottom solid, and you'll probably get a sense of that in this interview.
Let's play it now. First and foremost, Ryan, thank you so much for making some time out of your busy slate to join us today. How you liking Nashville so far?
It's been awesome. Yeah, it's been, obviously, I think everyone else is a sweet town, but, the areas outside the area we live in, Green Hills, it's super easy. We're loving it down here.
Riles, just wanted to get your opinion on, the perceived perception of playing in Toronto, being in that market, and then the reality that it was once you got there and became part of the Maple Leafs. What was that like for you at the end of the day?
It was, I think, something, so special, especially being an Ontario kid growing up, everything is Leafs. And then, he finally, I think it too. And just, Toronto is hockey's team. It's one, I think, has the biggest fan base. It's talked about the most. I hear from all my buddies every year, what's right, what's wrong with the team and everything. And then getting a chance to play there was incredible. And obviously you feel that pressure of it, but it's super special to have that opportunity and really enjoyed it.
Was the whole story, Ryan, about you preferring to fly under the radar, blown out of proportion a bit?
Oh yeah. And I think that's one of the things about obviously Toronto and just the media. I think every time you say something, it's so overanalyzed and such, but there's so many things that went into that decision. I think Toronto's a place too, when things don't go well, it's easy to kind of get buried. And, for the point in my career, I think, I have a lot left, and I think I want to be in kind of a bigger role and kind of seeing, to be able to have more of an impact and really do something. I think, in Nashville is that place. And so I was able to work, that out. But, there's so many good things about Toronto playing there. The team obviously so good. But, we just felt like this was the better fit.
I figured you could find a bar or two to play guitar in Toronto. I thought more went into the process than just that. People get a little bit wild out there in this market. But during those contract negotiations, do you just let your agent handle that, or are you involved? And also, were you just talking to Dubas, or was there some interaction with Brendan Shanahan at all? And did you feel his presence around there very much?
I talked to Shanny a few times. We had some great conversations while I was there and such. But for the negotiation, it was mainly held through my agent and the back and forth through them. And it's unfortunate it didn't work out. It is such a special place to play, but for my family, myself, it just ended up being the right fit for us. And obviously, could be happy where I am now.
Was it ever close to you re-signing?
It was a tough decision for sure. I don't think it was. I think for a while there, we strongly considered it as possible, but I ended up being the best thing for it. Sorry if my kids are.
It's all good.
I don't know if you can hear them or not, but they're going nuts back there.
That's life sometimes. So it leads us to Saturday night, and a big reason why we got you on. Obviously, your return, a smaller sample size. I think this is Schenner's 15th return to Toronto. We're going to interview him coming up. But Scotiabank Arena, your return to Toronto, what do you think that experience would be like?
It's always weird. It's always weird going to a former team. And even earlier this year, we went to St. Louis, which was, a weird thing in itself. But
you're chopping some onions there, eh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was great. Dallas did a great tribute there, which was awesome. When you look at the numbers in the games I played in Toronto, it wasn't that actually many, but it feels like, for me, it feels like I spent a lot of time there. Just the emotions of it, and winning a playoff series there, being a part of that. It's a short time, but it's a very impactful time in my career. So it will be different. Again, growing up there, have so much family and friends and such. It'll be, it's always cool going back playing there.
And we always talk about former players, or at least players from Ontario as well, coming into Toronto and always lighting it up against the Maple Leafs. Are you going to be extra jazzed to go back there, considering you are from Ontario and it's your return after playing for that team? Is that something that's going to be on your mind a little bit?
You killed them 2 weeks ago too, didn't you? You killed them when you played them the first time, right?
They always
you did.
Well, that was a big win for us, that's for sure. But Yeah, no, it's I think everyone, you go into there, you want to have success, you want to make something happen, but yeah, for myself, it's just, you got to get into the competitiveness of the game, and hopefully, you're effective. But I went to high school there in Scarborough, Cardinal Newman for a little time. That's where I ended up meeting my wife and such. And my mom's one of 14 that grew up in Toronto, so it is special going there, and I have a lot of friends and tons of family in the crowd every time. So definitely have a little extra in the tank for that one, and I'll be trying to high step around there.
What was your favorite part about being a Maple Leaf?
I think something I really enjoyed was just, where I'm from is about 2.5 hours west of Toronto, and small town Seaforth, Ontario, and I think everyone's always supported me throughout my career, but once I was putting on that Maple Leaf jersey, I was playing for their team too, and it's crazy, just the people that come out of the woodwork, and people stop my family whenever I see them and want to break down the line combos and what's going on with the PK and such, and like it's crazy. Like, it's so much more than just a game, and getting to see that firsthand. And even when this summer going back there, just the people, how much they just love the Leafs, and being a part of it. And that was it was just crazy to see how much beyond just a game of hockey it is.
And was that overwhelming, being there more than you thought it would be, as far as people asking for jerseys and tickets, and like you said, coming out of the woodworks? I remember that, and I'm not even from the area, and just people from like high school that you barely talk to are like, think there's a rack full of my jersey I can just grab at any point in time. And it's just like, I can't imagine for you being from there. Was that more than you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, it definitely was a lot. You can see everyone was just, everyone's asking for tickets and doesn't realize that you have to pay for them and such. But no, it is, it was a lot too, I think, in that sense of, every time I see my mom, she's got a stack of, anything she could find Leafs for handing out to people. And so, I don't mean to say a lot, but just definitely above and beyond, especially when you get down here to Nashville. It's a little different, the markets that you're in, but it's something great about it too, though, having the people that care about it that much and want to be involved with it. So, it goes both ways for sure.
Ryan, we never shit on you for making that decision, nor should I think anybody make, shit on you for making that decision. Is this you? Like, is this Ryan O'Reilly? Like, is this a perfect play? Like, when you signed in Nashville, I'm like, Dan, that makes so much sense. You love the guitar, country, all that stuff. Like, is this you?
Yeah, I think that was a little, there's so many things that came into play. Like I said a bit before too, I just think I was looking for a bigger role somewhere too. And I thought, obviously this place, a great place to live. This is my brother started his career, lived here up to like 3 years ago, and think about moving back. Such an easy place to raise a family. And, I love the team. I love the veteran pieces. You look at our goaltending too. Mm-hmm. The young guys, the youth that's coming up, there's some really, really good players. And I think we can build something here too. And, there was, that was, a lot of things that came with that decision, but absolutely loving it. I think we got off to a bit of a slow start, but we're slowly starting to build something, and it's been a lot of fun, and I'm enjoying it.
Have you had a chance to wheel down to Lower Broadway and play? I know you love playing the guitar. I'm a big Aldean's guy. Like, where do you head out?
I don't head down to Broadway much unless you got like family in town that wants to check it out. But it's funny, people always asking. Like, I'm not that good of a guitar player. People always ask, hey, you hop on stage and get up there and play. I'm like, this is one of the toughest places in the world to jump on stage. Like, everyone up there, like this is their livelihood. They're doing this, grinding it out every day. I can play a couple little songs here, and a couple little hip songs. That's about it. And you better get on that stage and you better kill it. So I kind of, I'm not really jumping up anywhere. I don't want to embarrass myself and get booed off the stage.
Dude, everybody's gooned anyways. You know this. Like, we were in Nashville for the draft in June. It doesn't matter. Like, if you can play Wagon Wheel or Wonderwall, like, you're cooking. What's your go-to song?
I think, Bob Cajun's little go-to one I love, especially all buddies, Canadian buddies. It's one, it's a pretty good sing-along. But I like the Lumineers. Like, Flowers in Your Hair is a good, quick little one that just kind of, gets the people going a little bit. So that's those are my two, I think.
Love it. We'll leave you on this. Obviously, it was a short time as a Maple Leaf, but you got to win a playoff series, which I think is a lot to say. It's been a long, long time. What's your read on this team? Like, obviously, you know these guys pretty well, having played with them. Do you think they have what it takes? I know you're a Nashville Predator now, but do you think they have what it takes, considering you've been through it a couple years back?
Oh, absolutely. I look at them, one of the most dangerous teams in the league, and their firepower is, it's unbelievable. And they're going to have a chance every year. But yeah, obviously I hope it's my team that's winning it, not them. But no, it is. It's not easy to win, but definitely, after experience last year, and when we were good, seeing how dominant we can be, I think definitely I think there's so many good pieces there that they'll be able to contend for sure.
So, hockey player and phenomenal babysitter, Ryan, thank you so much for this, buddy.
Thanks a lot. Hope they're not too loud. They're on the trampoline attacking each other right now. So
there you have it. Fair to say that Ryan O'Reilly's kids are now famous on YouTube.
Famous as could be. Yeah, they were playing, weren't they? Good interview though.
That was a lot of fun, man. Like I love. Like I told you this before they got Ryan O'Reilly last year. Like he is one of my favorite players in the league. On the ice, off the ice, just really, really respectable, honest dude, humble dude. And then on the ice, I mean, he's your prototypical player. He won a Conn Smythe Trophy. Like his DNA was all over the big time goals against the Tampa Bay Lightning. He had the Leafs number in the first game. I'm looking forward to watching that game on Saturday night.
Yeah, it'll be good. Good to see him. And yeah, he was a tough loss to not be able to re-sign him. He was, a pretty detrimental player to that to that roster last year, and a big reason why they did get to the second round. And no one really had it in the second round, but like you can see from that interview, he's one of the salt of the earth guys.
We got Luke Schenn coming up tomorrow too. That was a bit of a longer interview, but a lot of chirps thrown his way.
Yeah, we got a little looser with Lukey, so look forward to that tomorrow. Back-to-back Jacks on the big interviews, asking these guys why they're not Maple Leafs anymore. But man, O'Reilly really dodged your one on how close it was to him resigning. Hey?
Man, it's funny watching it back. So I was like cutting the interview last night. I'm like, I'm known for asking like questions like that. Even in my time at Sportsnet, people are like, man, like, how do you, like, I don't know. You just got to ask tough questions. And I do it sometimes just for the reaction. Like I send you gifs of myself all the time, which is the most serial killer move of all time. But that one of me rolling my eyes, working at Sportsnet, that was me asking Tom Fitzgerald, the AGM at the time of the New Jersey Devils, if they would be open to trading PK Subban. I just like doing it. But again, these guys are so trained. He didn't really give nothing on that, eh?
No, he probably wasn't really ready for it. But I mean, his reaction to me sounds like, no, we were not close. Like they offered this and they offered that. We weren't even close. I moved on. Like that's what it sounded like to me. And that's what happens when you're up against the cap, man.
It was a fair question, though, no?
Oh yeah, nothing wrong with it. Why can't you ask that?
No, I know. I just sometimes, again, people are like, oh, like, I don't know. You always wonder about the perception from players. I mean, you're a former player. I didn't go outside left field with a question. It's fair.
No, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Were you close to signing with Toronto or not? No big deal. I don't mind any of that stuff. I'm pretty open book too, though. If he can answer it, he will. If he wants to, he will. If not, he'll do what he did. It's all good. I don't mind that stuff. You're not like,
there's option C. There's option C. Not to give too much of a spoiler. There's the answer Luke Schenn gave on tomorrow's show.
True.
I asked the same question to Luke Schenn. So tune into Friday's edition, at least want to take to see his answer on that front. Meantime, brought to you by Betano, the 2023 EGR winner for both the Best Sportsbook Operator of the Year and Best In-Play Sports Operator Awards. The game starts now. So the Battle of Ontario 2.0. A couple things we're looking at. Claude Giroux is gonna pick up a point, right? Like we're at that belief that he's getting at least a point tonight, right?
Well, they usually do when they come back, and he's one of the front runners for that. He seems to do it all the time. So yeah, that'd probably be a good bet.
So that's one of them. The other thing I like is an Austin Matthews anytime goal. You know, he has 23 goals in 30 career games against Ottawa.
Wow. No, I think we went over this last year. He's hot on the Sens for sure. He must get really jacked up for the Battle of Ontario.
Yeah. I love that convo we had yesterday. I'm like, is the Battle of Ontario dead? And then I'm watching like other media outlets and they piggybacked off us. Because it's true. I mean, we want to hype it up all we want, but like it's fucking dead. This is another game.
Pretty much, but they definitely want to win it, and
Yeah.
I mean, they know that they're going to be coming in hot. At least I hope they do. So it's probably a more important game for those guys. And like you say, G's going to come in. He feels comfortable around here, and he's going to be buzzing as well. So I don't mind the anytime point with him.
Justin writes in, Domi anytime. Okay, I can live with that. He's got his first goal in the season. But, Hurt Locker 66, Matthews for the trick tonight. Believe it or not, I think that's actually a really good bet for Matthews this year. If you think he's going to score, to take him more than a goal, you know what I mean? Take him for 2 goals or 3 goals, because it seems like every game, he scores, it's more than 1 goal. Like, I think he scores in bunches, and that's why I think he's going to get red hot here. He had 2 last game, right?
He does score in bunches for sure. So yeah, if you're gonna jump on that a little bit heavier, the value, you'd go through the roof for multiple goals or a hattie. My goodness, I don't know what the odds of that would be, but you'd be getting massive value, and he is a guy that can get a bunch at one time.
I'm gonna stick out my long neck. Say that again. Leafs in regulation. Leafs in regulation. I'm on fire. I'm going to keep it going. A Leafs regulation victory. That's my call, my final call.
Leafs and reg for a team that loves going to overtime. All right. Here you go. That's we'll see. I don't think it's a bad bet. I'm hoping they're ready. And yeah, I didn't know what I was going to do on that. I like the ones we talked about. I don't know about the outcome yet. Leafs win for sure, though.
No, to be fair, I mean, that is the proper bet, because you'll get plus money on it, is to bet for this game to go to OT. So 3-way tie. That's your move. Yeah. But I'm sticking my neck out. Leafs in regulation. They got 5 and fucking 22. Let's win one in regulation. The Battle of Ontario. It's back, Rosie.
I like it, and that's not going to last forever. So there's a reason to think they'll get one done in reg here tonight.
Okay, so after our fight, like 20 minutes ago, we've made up here. Okay.
Yeah, we were pretty heated there for a while.
Oh, we were so heated. People love that. I'm like, maybe it's made up. Maybe we actually weren't disagreeing. No, I think it's good for the show. Good stuff, Rosie. So we'll reconvene on Friday. We'll break down this game, the Battle of Ontario 2.0. We'll look ahead to the matchup with Nashville, and Luke Schen's coming on. So great stuff today, buddy.
Yeah, it'll be good. We'll see you guys tomorrow. My last show with this computer.
Oh wow. Let's have a ceremony.
The lagging might go away. Let's have a ceremony. We'll light it on fire in this room here.
So that's how tomorrow's podcast is going to end. Friday's podcast will end with Rosie blowing up his computer, and then his screen will just go black. You don't know if he's alive or he's gone.
That'd be fun, actually. They might want it back, though.
I think you're onto something. I want to thank the Nashville Predators as well for setting up that interview with Ryan O'Reilly, the Fact Daddy himself for coming on, producer Aaron, everybody in the chat at the Leafs Nation 401, at the Leafs Nation 401. If you haven't subscribed just yet, hit us with a like, a review. Subscribe wherever you find your podcast as well. That's Jay Rosehill. I'm Nick Alberga. And finally, some Maple Leafs hockey. Enjoy it.
Thank you for watching Leafs Morning Take. Hit that subscribe button and never miss a show. And for more, visit theleafsnation.com. THELEAFSNATION.com. If you don't know how to spell the Leafs Nation, you know what I mean? But hey, sometimes you never know.